Good morning, my friend. It's 5 o'clock in the morning on 30 March 2021. It's a Tuesday morning. I hope you're doing well. A special little bonus episode here for you at the end of Mind Change March. I thought, what better way to get ready for Action April than to go back to 2014 in October. I did a You Start Today episode called 7 Ways to Start Today. I gave you 7 little things to think about how you could get started in the life change that you're looking for. If you want to become healthier and feel better and be happier and really change your mind so you can change your life, then there's some practical 7 little quick tidbits here. And I thought I'll bring that back to you. And by the way, all the You Start Today episodes, the old 73 episodes of You Start Today, they are coming online, a few every week as I get time to put them together with transcripts. For the patrons of the podcast at the $25 a month level, patron supporters are getting access to all of that old content. And then, of course, the first 100 episodes, the most recent 100 episodes of the Dr. Lee Warren podcast are always free for everybody. But the patrons get access to everything past 100 episodes old and all of the You Start Today catalog. So there's lots of good stuff out there at the patron program, patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren if you're interested in becoming a partner of the podcast. Hey, I got something serious and deep on my mind this morning. You probably haven't heard about it, or maybe you have, but in the country of Myanmar, which is also known as Burma, they've been really in a civil war on and off since the 1940s. They've been struggling with multi-ethnic conflict and all kinds of geopolitical issues, and that nation has been essentially in the longest-running war in the world's history since the 1940s. But over the past weekend, the conflict has really erupted. There were 100 people murdered by government forces last weekend, and there's a group of people, about 5 million people in eastern Myanmar, western Thailand, that area, the mountainous region there. It's called the Karen people, Karen, Karen. And this group of people really are very poor. They're beautiful. Their kids' faces just light up. When you see them, you'll just smile because they're so beautiful. This group of people really has been struggling for centuries in this area. Well, there's an organization that our son-in-law, Bryce, got involved in. And you've heard me talk about Bryce before. He's been on the podcast. He was an Army Ranger, medic, still teaches at the Special Operations Medic School there in North Carolina. And just a really wonderful young man. But he's got a real heart for these people in Thailand and Myanmar, and he's been there. There's an organization called Earth Mission, Mitch, Ryan, and his family run, and we know these people because Bryce knows them and loves them, and they basically go into Myanmar and they set up medical education school for villagers, and they basically have been teaching people how to provide basic medical care, basic education and medical care resources for these people that grow up basically with nothing. So we take so many things for granted. And here in Myanmar, there's people that grow up with nothing, no basic understanding of how to treat a wound or fix a laceration or solve a common dental problem. And so they set up this school where they're training villagers to basically graduate with the skill set of basically a physician assistant. So you can go through this school as a young villager, and now you've got a vocation and a real life skill that will help these people around you and save lives. And now that school, where Mitch Ryan and his organization is working, is basically going to function as a combat hospital because they're at war. And all of a sudden, this place where they were doing this humanitarian mission to train people and help people, and now they're essentially doing a battlefield medicine mission, and they're in real danger. And so if you were looking for a way to change, just thinking about what you're going to change your life about and get involved and do some action as we come into Action April here. If you were looking for an organization to support, get on the internet and check out earth-mission.org, earth-mission.org. That's the website of Earth Mission, Mitch Ryan's organization that our son-in-law Bryce is involved with. And they are in dire need. And this is like real time, today, 2021, end of March, real time need of medical supplies and basic humanitarian aid for people who are in legit danger of their lives. So if you're looking for some way to get involved and be Jesus' hands and feet, Mitch Ryan and his team are on the ground in Myanmar in the middle of a combat zone, providing life-saving medical care and aid for little kids and families that don't have any other place to go. They can't just, get on a bus and go to Dallas. That they are stuck in this war zone of a centuries-old conflict, and your support will really help, really help save lives in a very practical way. And we know the people involved in this, earth-mission.org, earth-mission.org. You check it out, watch the little video about the Karen people, and know that our son-in-law, Bryce, is actually involved with and knows these people. This is a real organization, and your dollars will really go to helping people in Myanmar in the middle of this crisis. earth-mission.org. Check it out. Hey, we're going to go back in time to 2014. We're going to hear me talk about 7 ways to start today, because I think it's the perfect way to go out for Mind Change March. And so today we're going for Mind Change. We're going to try to get our heads around Action April. I'm going to give you 7 ways to start today from You Start Today, episode 25 back in October of 2014. And as always, we're going to start today. Hey, I'm so glad to have you listening. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I live in Nebraska in the United States of America with my incredible wife, Lisa Warren, and the super pups, Harvey and Lewis. Harvey hurt his leg. He had to go to the doctor yesterday, so pray for Harvey. He's got an injured left front leg. I'm a neurosurgeon and an author, and I'm here to help you harness neuroscience, the power of your brain, faith, the power of your spirit, and good old common sense to help you lead a healthier, better, happier life. Listen, you can't change your life until you change your mind, and I'm here to help you learn the art of self-brain surgery to get that done. You can get the show notes and more on my website, wleewarrenmd.com. wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter/prayer/support, all kinds of ways to get involved. Check it out. And if you like the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, and tell your friends about it. If you tell 2 or 3 friends about the podcast, how much farther can we take this message? I'm Dr. Lee Warren. We're here to change your mind so we can change our lives. Let's get after it. Life is short. There are no guarantees. So we don't want to waste a second of our precious lives being anything less than everything we're designed to be. We can't be stuck in yesterday, because dwelling on past successes or failures, pleasures or pains will only keep us from getting anything done or making anything better today. And we can't live for tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. If we don't change the things we need to change now, every tomorrow becomes a day in which we didn't do the things we needed to do yesterday. If we want to become healthier, feel better, and be happier, we have to get after it now. You start today. I've developed 7 ways to start today, and I'm excited to share them with you in this episode. So let's go. Welcome to You Start Today, the Dr. Lee Warren Podcast, episode 25. People from all 50 states and 30 other countries are getting together to learn how to become healthier, feel better, and be happier starting today. You can get any links I mentioned and all the info about this show, my books, and my blog at www.youstarttoday.com/025. If you want to experience real life change, stick with your friend, the brain surgeon. I'm Dr. Lee Warren, and I think I can help you survive and thrive through the wars of life. So let's get started. Welcome back, You Start Today world. I'm glad you're here with me this week, and I'm excited to share with you 7 ways you can start today. This is just a bonus episode because I thought it was time here at episode 25 to kind of take a look at all the different ways that we can get our minds, bodies, spirits, and businesses going on this real life change that we're after. So I just sort of boiled everything down into 7 different important points about when you know it's time to start and how you can do that and get started today. So let's go right into the show. Number 1, you got to decide whenever you have an idea that something in your life needs to change. You can kind of debate that internally for your entire life and sometimes never get it done. So the secret to getting started is to decide that enough is enough. You got to honestly assess your life, how you want it to be, how you want it to feel, how you want it to go. You have to look hard at yourself, since you really can't change anybody else. So real life change has to start with you, has to start with me, has to start inside ourselves. So decide that enough is enough. We're going to make a list of changes that we know we need to make. If I want something to change in my life, I need to be willing to put it out there, write it down, talk to somebody else about it, commit to the idea that I'm tired of how things have been and that I'm no longer willing to accept that, so I'm going to change it. So start with enough is enough. Now, you won't start with all the answers. You start with a decision that you're going to try to make a change. But you'll never get anything done unless you make that decision. You decide, hey, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being in debt. I'm tired of having this bad relationship. I'm tired of this addiction. I'm tired of this job that I'm not successful in. I'm tired of whatever. I'm done with it. I'm done with a poor spiritual life. I'm done with doubt and regret, or whatever your issue is that you need to change. It's already in your heart, your conscience, your spirit, your creator, whatever you want to put in that block, how you resonate with the idea that when you know something inside yourself has to change, you decide enough is enough. And that's the first step to starting today. Number 2 is you have to develop an appetite for success. One of our problems, I think, sometimes is true in my life, is I look at something that needs to happen and it kind of overwhelms me with how big it is. Like the idea before I started medical school that I wanted to be a doctor seemed a little insurmountable to me. But you know what? That's why they put a process in place so that a child, a kid, young person can go through something that seems enormous at first, and they can come out on the other end of that process as an MD, as a medical doctor. Same thing with learning to become a brain surgeon or become a writer or become an astronaut or whatever you want to do. Same thing with conquering a relationship challenge or anything else. If you look at the problem at hand, it's easy to be intimidated when the thing seems insurmountably huge, right? It seems impossible. It seems overwhelming. These tasks can make us sort of give up before we start, and you can find yourself at the end of your life with a bunch of things that you felt like you needed to do that you never did because they seemed too big. My dad used to say, if you want to eat an elephant, you got to do it one bite at a time. You have to be hungry for the change you need and desire, hungrier for that than you are for the status quo. So develop this appetite for the success that you need to have. And don't let fear or anything else or anyone else keep you from getting there. Get that knife and fork out, sit down at the table, and eat that elephant one bite at a time. We have to have that appetite, that hunger, that drive for the success that we need. If you don't develop that, you'll never get started today. Number 3. Draw a line in the sand. This means I'm going to decide today that all the stuff behind me is behind me. One of the problems we have in our lives is that we decide that we're insurmountably injured by something in our past. Our parents were mean to us. Our relationships were bad. That somebody bullied me on the schoolyard, so I'm X. You put these labels on yourself. I'm a failure. I'm overweight. I'm incapable of maintaining a marriage. I'm incapable of getting a promotion. I'm incapable of starting a company. You put these labels on yourself because of things that have happened in the past. We've all had them, failures and disappointments, all these issues in our past. Everybody's had them. But you know what? Life is hard, but it's your life. No one and nothing can keep you from having joy and success except you. Nobody's allowed to limit you except you. And if you let yourself limit yourself, that was awkward. If you put limits on yourself, then there's nobody else out there who can deliver you from that. Because ultimately, life change is a single person venture. Now, I believe, that you've been listening for a while, I believe that you should have a relationship with God. And I think God is the one who can change things for you, really, ultimately. But in any type of life change, not to invoke the spiritual world, but just in any type of change, nobody can do it for you. Nobody can make you a better business person. Nobody can make you a better spouse. Nobody can make you a better parent. You have to do it. Nobody can make you lose 30 pounds. You got to do it. You're the only one who can limit you. You're the only one who can help you. You've got to do it. The worst thing you can do, though, is to handcuff yourself by constantly looking backwards, by ruminating on past failures or hurts, by swimming in the toxic pool of regret or anger or self-pity or self-doubt. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop it today. It's just as limiting, though, This is important. It's just as limiting if you sit around all day dreaming of what your life will be like in the future if something happens that you desire. If you sit around and daydream about the future, when you finally do this, or you finally get that, or you finally get that promotion, or write that book, or catch that fish, or whatever it is you dream about, you'll never get anything done today because your head's always out there in the future. Believe it or not, your life will not magically be all it's supposed to be the day after your favorite team wins the national championship, or you win the lottery, or the girl finally says yes. If you're not squared away today, tomorrow's not going to be better. It's going to feel awfully familiar to you if you don't take care of business today. So in order to start moving towards our goals, we have to decide that enough's enough. We have to get hungry for success, and we have to get going with no retreats and no daydreaming about the future. But we won't get very far if we don't know where we're going, will we? That's why we need step number 4. We got to make a plan. Great athletes study game film. They watch other teams, they watch other great athletes as well as their own films, and they break down what worked and didn't work, and they learn from others' mistakes and successes. In the Bible, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, there's a great passage about this. Now, it's okay if you're not into reading the Bible. Even if you don't believe in God, that's okay too. It's still a great lesson, so just stay with me here. And let me read this to you from a translation of the Bible called The Voice. You can actually read that for free on BibleGateway.com. You can put in any passage in the Bible and choose from a bunch of different free translations. And this one's from The Voice. And I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to read it later. But let me read this passage to you. And keep in your mind a sports kind of game film metaphor when you listen to this. It's not what it was written about, but in this application, just think about kind of watching a game film of some other athletes or another team accomplishing a game. Listen to this. So, since we stand surrounded by all those who have gone before, an enormous cloud of witnesses, let us drop every extra weight, every sin that clings to us and slackens our pace, and let us run with endurance the long race set before us. We may feel alone, but we aren't. We're surrounded by an army of witnesses. They have run the race of faith and finished well. It is now our turn. Now, stay focused on Jesus, who designed and perfected our faith. He endured the cross and ignored the shame of that death because he focused on the joy that was set before him. And now he's seated beside God on the throne, a place of honor. Consider the life of the one who endured such personal attacks and hostility from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Among you, in your striving against sin, none has resisted the pressure to the point of death as he did. Man, I love that passage. It's a great way to think about getting started in our lives. Imagine the idea that there's a lot of people, consider former players in the game of life, if you want, up in heaven, and they're watching us, they're watching you and me in our time on the field, so to speak, our time in life. These witnesses or this other team of people who have already completed the game are cheering us on. I think about my grandfathers, my Uncle Kiefer, my aunts, my son Mitch. I think about Mitch watching me in the game of life. He already knows what happens afterwards, and he's watching. And you know, when you make a good decision, when I do something well, they're cheering, and when I'm about to mess up, they're biting their fingernails. Go, oh no! You know, when you watch a game and you see the play developing, and you see the secondary blow the coverage, and you know the other team's about to score, and you're just holding your breath because you can't imagine what's about to unfold. And I see that idea of the witnesses watching us. I'm not talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm just talking about this passage and this idea that people are watching. It's even not just heavenly people, but think about the idea that in your life, other people are watching. They're taking notes from you. And you got to do that too. These people are there. Sorry, I'm a little sniffy today, by the way. Knowing that these people are there watching, that the witnesses are observing my game film helps me to be more purposeful about my decisions here. Thinking of the idea that I need to be willing to let people break down the film of my life and study it helps me to make better decisions about how I live now. But the writer doesn't stop there. This passage in Hebrews also gives us a game film of watching somebody else. He says, now stay focused on Jesus. He says, watch what he did. See him triumph. Study his moves. Study his life. I used to watch, I still watch, a lot of Auburn football. And old highlights of Auburn football are fun when they show Bo Jackson. He's probably the greatest tailback, certainly in SEC history, maybe of all time. Apologies to the Georgia fans who are big Herschel Walker people, but I think Bo Jackson, when he was at his prime, was just amazing athlete. He was an amazing athlete. And if you watch his film, it was unbelievable how he could, break tackles and get into the open field, and he was a beast. He's an amazing person to watch. And here in Hebrews, we have this idea, you're watching Jesus, the one person who lived a life without fumbling the ball, without messing up, without running out of bounds, without any kind of loss. He did it. And so the writer's saying, watch this guy and study him. Do the kinds of things he did, and you'll be more successful. Remember, he says, that we haven't gone through anything like Jesus did. Now, if you believe the Bible like I do, you see Jesus as a person who lived a perfect life and then sacrificed himself for the behalf of others. So that's the end of the spiritual metaphor here. But the concept is you study somebody else's life, you study your own life, and you learn from your mistakes, and that will help you to make a game plan for developing how you're going to attack the problems at hand now, how you're going to attack the life change that you want. If you want to be a better business person, read some business books about people who have failed and people who have succeeded. Make a game plan. Think about your past failures, not in a way that limits you, but in a way to study them as game film and learn from those mistakes and make a better game plan going forward. Don't keep running the wishbone if it doesn't work anymore. You got to change your offense to make better success. So study the game film, learn from others, and learn from your own issues, and make a plan for a better attack on life going forward. You're more likely to succeed if you have a good game plan and you've studied than if you just wing it all the time or keep doing the same things over and over. And when you were a little kid, if you played any kind of schoolyard sports, one of the common things was you kind of huddle up with your teammates and draw a plan out on the dirt. Here's what we're going to do, guys. You're going to run over there and you're going to run over here, and you kind of wing it, right? And it works or it doesn't work sometimes. But in real life, we can't just wing it. We got to have a plan. So if you want to start today to accomplish real life change and try to become healthier and feel better and be happier in any aspect of your life, you have to have a game plan. You got to be ready to go after you've studied and prepared based on past successes and failures, the examples of other people, and with a mind to allow your life to be studyable and helpful to other people when they look at it. And once you've planned, at some point, though, it's time to pull the trigger and get going, and it's time for step number 5. Number 5 is, let's do this. I love these new Home Depot commercials. They basically talk about all kinds of projects you can do, and they say more savings, more doing. The Home Depot, more doing. That's what we got to do in our life. We can't sit around all the time and think about stuff in the past and fret over it. And we can't sit around and dream about stuff in the future, or nothing will ever change. You'll wake up tomorrow, it'll be just like yesterday, and today will be another way to get from yesterday to tomorrow with nothing happening. You've got to get out there and do it. So once you have a good plan, engage in it. Break it down into its component parts. Do a little calculus on it and break the big problem down into manageable parts and get after it. And that's a simple, short step, but it's true. Once you have a plan, you got to get out there and do it. I'm a big fan of the books of a writer named Stephen Pressfield. Now, if you don't know Pressfield, he wrote, his first book was a novel called The Legend of Bagger Vance that was made into a movie. Then he wrote a novel called Gates of Fire that was the inspiration for the movie 300. And then he started writing books about creative processes and books about getting things done. The first one was called The War of Art. I can't recommend it highly enough. No matter what you do, if you're in business or you're a baker or you're a plumber or you're a writer or an artist or whatever you do, you should read The War of Art. And then he wrote several other really short books, Turning Pro, Do the Work. I can't remember all of his books, but Stephen Pressfield has this idea that once you sort of know what you need to do, and once you start it, one of the problems that a lot of people have is they kind of do a lot of stuff, but they trip up when it's actually time to ship the product, when it's time to release the book, when it's time to, unveil the painting. We kind of get afraid. We're afraid that our plan wasn't good enough, that our strategy isn't going to be successful, or that because of some way that we failed in the past, that what we're about to do now isn't going to work. So we stall out right at the launching point. We don't ship the product. And you know what? In your own life, you can't get to the end and never have shipped it. You just can't sit around. You got to do it. Let's do this thing. Get on the field and play. You know what? It's your life. Nobody can live it for you. Nobody can keep you from living it. You've got to do it. The next step, though, once we're out there in the game and we're doing our thing and trying to change our lives and trying to be all that we're created to be, there's a danger, and step number 6 embraces this danger. And I call it presence. You have to be present. You got to get out of your head and in the moment. You ever watched a baseball game and some batter hits a lazy fly ball to center field? It's just an easy out. They used to call them a soup can. It's an easy play. It's the ball's coming, and you look out and you see the outfielder is daydreaming. He's not going to make the play. The ball's going to land right next to him because he's not paying attention. You see it a lot in Little League. Kids are out there picking their noses and goofing around, and they're bored, and the ball never comes to the right fielder. So all of a sudden, the batter swings, and the ball's in the air, and you look out, and your 8-year-old's, got his cap off, and he's picking flowers, and the ball's coming, and he's not going to catch it because he's not present in the moment. It's a disaster. You don't want that to happen in your own life. Don't miss things and create future regrets by being in your head and missing the life that's happening all around you right now. If you want to accomplish real life change, if you want to make things better, you want to become healthier and feel better and be happier in your life, or better in your business, or more successful in your marriage, or closer to your God, or happier, you have to be present in the moment and make sure that you make every moment count. You know what? You don't know how long your life will be. You don't know how long you have to enjoy your business, or to enjoy your family, or to spend with your child. Our family, like I've told you before, we lost a child. On the day that happened, that was the farthest thing from any of our minds. We had no idea that August 20th was going to be the last day we had our son. And then boom, the phone rings and you've lost a child. You know what? I would go back and give anything to have been a little more present in some of the moments I had with my son. I mean, any father, any parent, anybody, that you spent some time when you're tired, you've been working all day, and you're trying to read the paper, or you're trying to watch SportsCenter, or you're trying to do something, and your kid is, hey, Dad, let's do this. Hey, Dad, look at this. Hey, Dad, watch me do this. And you're sort of, yeah, that's great. Okay, great, super. Yeah, just a minute. I'll be there in a little bit. All of us do that. All of us have done it. Well, let me tell you this. I would give anything to have some of those moments back when he was little and I didn't have time to do this or time to do that. I would give anything for 5 more minutes. Okay? Not being fully present hurts people. Don't let it happen in your life. Be in the game. And the final step is every day you have to start again. You know what? Yesterday doesn't count if you did great things, but you quit today. And tomorrow won't matter if you don't prepare for it today. If you don't keep going, then what you do today won't change anything in the long run. And the bummer about life is also the beauty of life, is that every day is a new day. Yesterday doesn't really matter. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You have today. Get after it. Let's do it. So tomorrow is always available to you only if it comes, and you don't know if it's coming. So you've got today, so start today. The only way to survive and thrive in the war of life is to start today. You can use these 7 ways to start today to get things going in the right direction in your body, mind, spirit, and your business. You can use them to become healthier, feel better, and be happier, and you can make your own life everything your Creator intends for it to be, because you, my friend, were made to be awesome, to have a life that matters, to have a life that helps others, to make a difference in the world, and to leave your own mark that nobody else can make. You want to make that happen? Start today. I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation. Let me hear from you about it. Check out my blog at wleewarrenmd.com for more information. And please, if you like the You Start Today idea, read my latest book, No Place to Hide, A Brain Surgeon's Long Journey Home from the Iraq War. It's available on Amazon.com, my website, wleewarrenmd.com/NPTH, No Place to Hide, NPTH. We'll tell you all about the book. My book is a story of how I survived and thrived in the literal war of my life and the aftermath of it in my family. And I think it'll help you. So check it out. It's available everywhere. If you want to become healthier, feel better, and be happier, you have to start today. Use these 7 steps. It'll help you out, I promise. Let me hear from you. Send me an email, lee@drleewarren.com, and let's talk about it. If something in this conversation has triggered you, some kind of idea in you, and you want to discuss it, email me. I'll write you back. You can also leave a voicemail on my website, wleewarrenmd.com, if you want to talk about something. And if you have a good idea for a future podcast episode, I'd love to hear it. Or if you have a comment you'd like for me to share with our listeners, I might include it in a future episode. Life is short. There are no guarantees, but you can take control, and you can enjoy your life and make a difference with the time you have. Do it. Start today. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, I hope that was helpful. I think it was great to go back in time and hear myself talk about stuff that I'm still talking about today, because it's so practical. You got to start today, friend. It's the end of Mind Change March. It's almost time for Action April. And if you want to get involved in something that is really the hands and feet of Jesus doing real work in a real place where people who are really in trouble, consider getting involved with Earth Mission, earth-mission.org, earth-mission.org, for the people, the good people, and the children in Myanmar who are suffering under the burden of that civil war, and the real work of Mitch and his team who are in danger serving the people on the ground in Myanmar. Check it out, earth-mission.org. And hey, we're almost at the end. We have 1 day left of Mind Change March. Get your mind on right and get ready for Action April. It's time to start. We've been thinking about it for a month. We're a quarter of the way through 2021, and it's time to get busy with real life change, because you can't change your life until you change your mind. And as always, friend, you have to start today. Hey, thanks for listening. The Dr. Lee Warren podcast is listener supported. Check out patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren, patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren. Patrons and partners get free books, transcripts, special patron-only episodes, and more. And partners like you allow us to stay ad-free and keep growing. Please subscribe to the show so you automatically get every episode, and go to wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter for more information about the show and everything, and get connected to our weekly newsletter. We're coming out soon with the Infinitely Happier app, and you won't know about it unless you're getting the newsletter, because it's going to start as invitation only to get this community out of email and onto a real-world application where we can all connect with each other in a much deeper and more powerful way. Hey, the theme music for the show is Water into Wine by Tommy Walker, graciously provided for free by Tommy and the good people who are changing the world at Tommy Walker Ministries. Get the music for free and consider supporting Tommy's great work at TommyWalkerMinistries.org. And if you need prayer, go to the prayer wall, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. And please today, don't forget to pray for the struggling people in Myanmar. They need your help. earth-mission.org is the place to go to check that out, earth-mission.org. Hey, I'm Dr. Lee Warren, and I will talk to you soon. You got to start today, friend. It's almost Action April. God bless you, and have a great day.